Manu.
You said the United States is not occupying Venezuela. So how is the United States going to run Venezuela? Like the president said repeatedly, saying that the United States is in charge of Venezuela. And how much is this going to cost the United States taxpayers in terms of dollars and troops?
Look, some of these things were discussed in the SCIF. I want to say that the way that this is being described, I think, is accurate. This is not a regime change. This is a demand for change of behavior by a regime. The interim government is stood up now, and we are hopeful that they will be able to correct their action. They cannot participate with narco terrorists and very dangerous international criminal organizations that harm and target Americans, frankly, and traffic all of these dangerous drugs into our country, that do all this great harm to our country. They cannot continue that activity. We have a way of persuasion because their oil exports, as you know, have been ceased, and I think that will bring the country to a new governance in very short order. So we don't expect troops on the ground. We don't expect direct involvement in any other way beyond just coercing the interim government to get that going. Look, I expect that there will be an election called in Venezuela. I mean, some of these things are still being determined, of course, but it should happen in short order, and I think it will need to be so that their economy can remain stabilized and the country can remain stabilized.
So when you say interim government, did the briefers indicate that they want members of the current regime to stay in power, for instance, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, or did they specify that they want a change in leadership?
Look, this is still developing right now, obviously. This has all just happened within the last couple of days, and so there are more questions ultimately about how it resolves probably than answers at the moment, but that's to be expected. We took out a serious threat. We removed a serious threat in terms of an arrest, an indictment, then an arrest, and now bringing to justice, again, in America, on our soil, of someone who is doing great harm to our country. And we need the country of Venezuela now. The people cheering in the streets, elated by this outcome, as you've seen. They now can have that freedom in Venezuela again. They have vast natural resources, as you know, and if they act accordingly and as a good partner in our hemisphere, they will have a very bright future, and we're all very hopeful for that. I know the people of Florida in particular who feel this so acutely have been having parties in the streets because they know what this means. And there were Floridians in the briefing here, most notably the Secretary of State, who understands these issues and those dynamics as well as anyone. Look, I can tell you, as Speaker of the House, as a person who's in charge of defending Article I powers, I'm just going to insist to you that those have not been traversed in any way by what happened here. The President used his authority under the law. He did so in a way that caused no casualties on the American side and got the job done with exquisite intelligence and extreme precision that can only be done by the U.S. That's why we are the world's great and last superpower, and we stand for justice, and you're going to see that meted out here. It's overdue, and everyone will be safer because this has happened. So stay tuned for the further developments.
That's the US House Speaker Mike Johnson leaving that press conference there on Capitol Hill, defending the decision by the Trump administration not to brief the so-called Gang of Eight, the top Republicans and Democrats in Congress prior to the US military action.